All right, top 7 safeties. And this was actually a surprisingly difficult list to come up with. There's a lot of good safeties out there, and I think there's, stylistic differences that can make this very difficult. So I legitimately think you could potentially make a top 7 list of, the top 7 safeties and have 7 different players that I have on this list, and it wouldn't be like a horrible list. Like, that's how many good safeties there are. So, and I think part of it is, listen, safeties are a difficult position to evaluate because when you watch on TV, they typically don't show the safeties, so you don't see a lot of what they're doing. There's not a ton of great statistics out there for safeties. Kind of the best one I have is Pro Football Focus grade, but, that can always be hit or miss, and only, people don't love PFF grades, even though I think they tend to be pretty good. Really, the main way you have to view this stuff is through watching film, which can be incredibly subjective. So that's kind of what makes this list kind of fun, though. So I'm going to list off some honorable mentions, and I feel like I could make an honorable mentions list to my honorable mentions, but just kind of the main ones I have here: Marcus Williams, Budda Baker, Jordan Poyer, Adrian Amos, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, Marcus May, Micah Hyde. All of those guys did not make my list, which is crazy because they're all great. So there's a few of those I wanted to put on this list. A lot of good safeties. I had to narrow it down to 7. This is my list for top 7 safeties. Number 7, give me the young guy, Jevon Holland, second-round pick from my, for the Miami Dolphins, not from Miami. I don't think he's from Miami. He might be. I don't know. But the number you see next to his name, the 4 there, that's where you ranked in terms of Pro Football Focus grade. He was the 4th ranked safety last year as a rookie. So some people will say, well, he'll continue to skyrocket and be great, so he should be even higher on this list. But it's a 1-year sample size, and that's always just going to be concerning for me, is a 1-year sample size. That being said, Miami, I mean, they have a lot of good talented players. Just, don't look at their offensive line, but even that they've made improvements on. But really, I don't know why I made that weird shot at the offensive line of the Dolphins. Jevon Holland is very good, and he's definitely someone who can consistently play at a high level. The only reason why he's lower than 6 guys on this list is I just haven't seen him play enough because he's only played 1 season, and safeties can be a bit volatile, so I just want to see a little bit of a bigger sample size before I move him up, but he was fantastic as a rookie. Number 6, I am going with Antoine Winfield, who, a very fascinating safety. He was the Pro Football Focus's 2nd rated safety last season, so right away, that's something to get you interested. Another 2nd-round pick who has now played 2 years, so him and Holland were kind of in the same group with me because I've seen, both of them for a bit of a smaller sample size than the other guys. But, Winfield has, I think, proven he can wear a lot of different hats for Tampa Bay. He can play strong safety. He played more free safety, but I think his strong safety game is just as impressive. And, it's kind of fascinating with him and Holland, not only the comparison of them being 2nd-round picks who have overperformed, but also those are 2 guys who play in very similar systems. Now, Holland's is probably about to change. Winfield has, kind of changed a little bit because Todd Bowles never calls the same play twice in a game, it seems like. But Winfield's role is typically pretty similar. He's done a very good job. And, he taunted Tyreek Hill, has the best taunt in NFL history. So that'll get you some bonus points. Number 5, I'm going with Jessie Bates, who was Pro Football Focus's 31st rated safety. So we're talking about a big jump there. However, here's the thing about Jessie Bates. So Jessie Bates has played really well over the course of his career so far. It's a young career, but he's played very well. He did not have his best season last year. However, he really picked it up in the postseason. And that's why I'm still comfortable putting him on this list, along with just the fact that he does have a big sample size of playing well. Another guy who can play free, can play strong. And again, just a very talented player who I feel didn't get the credit he deserved early on in his career playing for Cincinnati, is starting to get a lot more credit now. So he's number 5 on this list. Number 4, give me Justin Simmons out of Denver. I keep saying like out of Denver as if like he was drafted from Denver. You know what I mean? He plays for the Denver Broncos, another guy who he's had to wear a lot of different hats. Definitely more of a coverage safety guy, but he can definitely play free if he has to. And with the Vic Fangio scheme of a lot of quarters coverage and then cover 3, it gets you away from the ball a lot of the time, but he's just been so consistently good since he's entered the league. So when you have that kind of consistency, and you have here's the one concern with Justin Simmons, right, is we've seen guys flourish with Vic Fangio, and safeties in particular flourish in a Vic Fangio scheme and then not play as well once Fangio has left. And by guys, I mean Eddie Jackson. We hope that does not happen with Simmons, but that's kind of the one potential concern. All right, top 3, and we have some interesting guys here with the top 3. Number 3, though, maybe the most controversial safety in football, Tyrann Mathieu. I think there's some people that say he does not belong on its list. He was 32nd in Pro Football Focus grade last year. Some people will have him at number 1 on their list, and I think you can make the argument for both. Here's why I've really always been such a big Tyrann Mathieu fan, especially in Kansas City. I think that you talk about having to wear a lot of hats. The pressure that Kansas City put on Mathieu when he was there was insane. They put a lot of pressure on their safeties in general, which is why a lesser safety can look really bad. See Daniel Sorensen, for example. But Tyrann Mathieu has to do it all. He has to play man coverage. I still think back about the Super Bowl where, people were kind of clowning him for giving up a touchdown. But it's like he gave up a touchdown to Antonio Brown in a one-on-one situation. And there was only one wide receiver in the game. They had one wide receiver in the game and put Tyrann Mathieu, a safety, on him. No other safety on this list is getting put in that situation. So I think because of the fact that he's constantly having to play man coverage against good wide receivers, the fact that he, still is a traditional safety, has to come in and stop the run, he's going to make more mistakes. His PFF grade, which I've compared to a batting average, is going to go down when you play in that kind of scheme. So this isn't to say that the PFF grade is wrong. It does a great job at telling you what it's supposed to tell you. I just think that given the situation, I am still very high on Tyrann Mathieu. I think he'll fit very well with the New Orleans Saints, and I think that he's a fantastic talent. I have him as number 3 on my list. Number 2, I am going with Derwin James. The guy, we all know about the injury history and stuff, but when he's healthy, he's unbelievable. He was the 8th rated PFF player last season. He's definitely the quintessential can play free or strong. He fits that scheme, that Chargers scheme, so well, of that sort of quarters coverage where he can come in and stop the run, because when you play quarters coverage, you have 2 corners playing very far deep. Safeties are going to have to come in and make a play on the run, and he can certainly do that. He can play man coverage against any tight end in football. He's an absolute fantastic talent. The only criticism you can really have over Derwin James is the health aspect. And number 1, give me Tennessee Titans Kevin Byard, who seems to be the consensus number 1. Most people would say of the kind of, incredible safety for the Titans, who has just been fantastic since he's entered the league. Again, another guy who can play coverage, can play free and can play strong with the best of them. Definitely someone who I thought, I don't want to say he benefited a lot from last year, but I think that he kind of, almost last year, to kind of work to his strengths a little bit more, which allowed the whole defense to be benefited a lot, and kind of why we saw that big jump in the Titans defense going from abysmal to actually good, which is also kind of just the weird thing about football and projecting, is that scheme can mean so much for a defense. But, playing to his strengths and really showing, I think he was really able to show what he can do. He was Pro Football Focus's highest rated safety, and I think that's fair. I think I would have him there as well. I do have him there. So those are my top 7. Kevin Byard, Derwin James, Tyrann Mathieu, Justin Simmons, Jessie Bates, Antoine Winfield, and Jevon Holland. I guarantee you people are going to be mad at this list. Safeties might be the toughest one to do, just because there is so much up to debate, because basically the way we view safeties and the way we talk about safeties is going to be entirely dependent on film study. Unless you just look at PFF grades, you can't look at interceptions with safeties, that would be insane. All you can do is look at tackles, I guess, but I wouldn't do that either. Or you have to watch the film, and I think that for the film and for what I've watched, I'm going to give it to these 7 guys. But what would you do? Let me know in the comments below. Why am I stupid? Where did I get it wrong? Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.